Chicken cutlets. Now I've made them low carb before, but they take some effort to flatten them out, and then if you overcook them, they can get too dry. But I found a way to make them better. Juicier, fork tender, and no pounding required. It's all thanks to a new method that I discovered that I'm going to tell you about later on. First, let me tell you about the breading that I'm going to use to coat this chicken that's going to be low carb but also high in protein. Instead of using regular breadcrumbs, I mean obviously it's not low carb and they're not gluten free, I'm going to use a couple different ingredients that are going to give our cutlets that crispy coating but without adding any additional carbohydrates. The zero carb breadcrumbs that I'm going to be using is a combination of 1.5 cups of pork panko and 1.5 scoops of unflavored protein powder. And this is a whey-based protein powder. I'll have the one that I use linked down below for you. The pork panko is just ground up pork rinds, but I actually buy them pre-ground up. You can certainly just purchase a bag of pork rinds and put them in your food processor and grind them up yourself. It's the same thing. But they give a similar texture and flavor to regular panko, and then the protein powder I'm using also has zero carbs. And when I fry it, it gives the chicken this crust that's kind of like beer battery. When you combine it with the pork panko, it's more crispy, like a panko beer batter. And I like to add seasoning to this. For seasoning, I'm going to add in 1/2 teaspoon each of salt and pepper, and then 1.5 teaspoons of Italian seasoning. And that's it. This is my zero carb breading that I'm going to coat my chicken cutlets with. I love this recipe because it's quick and easy to make. Just like my Element electrolytes are just a convenient way to get my electrolytes on the go. That way I can stay hydrated and my skin looking healthy. Each packet has a science-backed electrolyte formula of 1,000 milligrams of sodium and 200 milligrams of potassium and 60 milligrams of magnesium. On top of that, I don't have to worry about ruining my low-carb goals because this stuff doesn't have any sugar in it. It's actually sweetened with stevia and comes in a bunch of fun flavors. My favorites are orange, citrus, grapefruit, anything that's citrus, I love. We are going to be traveling a lot this summer. We actually have a trip on a houseboat booked. We're going to be doing that for a full week. It's going to be hot, so I need to stay hydrated, and these packets are just so convenient for on the go and when you're traveling. Right now, Element's offering my viewers a free sample pack with any Element order. This is a great way to try out some of the flavors so you can see which ones you like. Just go to drinkelement.com/ketofocus to get yours. So I've told you how to make these cutlets low carb. Now I want to share the method on how I get them juicy and fork tender and thin without having to pound them down. Instead of butterflying the chicken in half and slicing it down the center so we get 2 thin cuts, we are going to slice it into thin strips. These are about 1/2 inch thick. The way that you cut it makes it like 1,000 times more tender. When you cut it long ways, it does something to make these cutlets really tender. I don't know the science around it, but Rita from Cucina Palermo showed us this method on TikTok and it went viral because it absolutely works and it's just so easy. Now these strips might seem a little narrow and even on the thicker side, but I promise you once you marinate it and bread it, each strip is gonna flatten out and get whiter. So I mentioned marinating them, and I normally don't do this when I'm making chicken cutlets, but this is what Rita does, so I thought I'd try it, and actually I really like it. So for that marinade, we're gonna add in 1/2 cup of Italian dressing, look for one that's lower in carbs, and then 1 egg, and 1/2 teaspoon each of salt and pepper. Whisk that together until it's combined, and then add in your chicken cutlets into the marinade and let them soak for around 10 to 15 minutes. I think that maybe the acidity from the Italian dressing might also help to break down some of those protein tissues that make it more tender too. That's why I decided to keep her marinade and wet ingredients in this recipe. Now it's time to coat the chicken. Working with 1 strip at a time, take it out of the marinade and place it in the dish with the keto breadcrumbs. Press the crumbs into the cutlet all around so that it sticks. And I like to only bread what I'm going to fry in the first batch because sometimes that protein powder can absorb some of the moisture and then you don't get a crispy, crunchy crust. It's kind of soggier. So working in batches, add the breaded cutlets to a large skillet with deep walls that has around 1/4 inch of avocado oil in it. These will fry on each side over medium heat for around 3 to 5 minutes. Ideally, you want to keep your oil between a temperature of 325 and 350. Any hotter than 350 and the breading's gonna burn. You can see some of mine got a little overheated here, but that always happens to me on the first batch because I'm just learning to adjust the temperature of the oil, and I'm eager to get these in my belly. But the other batches generally look better. You can enjoy these just as is or squeeze a little lemon juice on it. And look at how fork tender these are. You don't even need a knife. They're so good and taste just as good as regular chicken cutlets, but without the carbs. And if you want to see how I make the best finger licking, crispy KFC chicken without the carbs, click right here because I show you my secrets.